Hello and welcome to the Awkward Corner podcast, where we discuss everything and anything to do with design. I'm Stephen, I'm your host, and with me today is Amy.
Hello.
And also we've got SJ.
Hello.
Hello again.
Hey.
How's things?
Good.
Yeah, all good?
Good.
All good?
Yeah. How are you?
I'm alright.
I'm sitting in a ghost chair that's moving by itself.
Apparently so.
Which is going to make the episode a bit of a struggle.
Haunted furniture.
Haunted
There's
chair.
a topic for
Every now and then
down,
you just
down the
spin
line.
round to us.
Just today's topic then is going to be exhibition design, which I think is really interesting. We're going to have a little look about the different kinds of exhibition, what exhibition means actually in terms of what the design is involved in that. Anything anyone's got interesting to say? I mean,
I have.
okay.
Have you seen that Reebok have released a Eames trainer?
I come across that somewhere.
So they've done a collaboration with Eames, and they've released a Reebok, classic Reebok, but with a Eames.
I haven't seen any pictures of it.
No.
Oh, I've got a
look
picture.
like?
Yes, please.
That'd be nice.
So you know the classic kind of dots and sticks.
Yeah.
Yes, I think. Feels like a quiz.
So here we go.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, you'll know it when you see it.
All right, yeah.
Let's have a look at it on the trainer.
I don't know about that.
I like them. I really like them.
I like them too.
I've got my eye on them.
I think I need to see them in the flesh.
You will do when I purchase them.
Obviously.
Zoom in a bit. Let me see.
I really like them.
Yeah, I do too.
What?
Go on.
How do you feel about that kind of thing now, like the collaborations and stuff like
They're
that?
big though, aren't they? Collaborations.
I know.
And cross genre as well.
Yes. I just think that's a really interesting pattern for Reebok to.
But do you think that will be received by everybody and people will know what that is?
Potentially not, but I think
It's quite a bold
if you
move,
find
isn't
a
it? Don't you
pattern
think?
by a designer, for example, that you want to use,
Yeah.
the best way to go about that is to do a collaboration rather than
Definitely.
ripping it off, like
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
you know, you see these kind of smaller fashion brands,
Yeah.
budget fashion brands, who are always getting themselves into trouble because they've nicked other people's work.
Appropriated.
But, yeah.
Yeah, that's much more polite than nicked.
What did you think of? Was it Stan Smith where they did the whole like Muppet collection?
Yeah,
I thought that was really because the Kermit ones wasn't there.
but like Vans do it all the time.
Yeah,
Well,
they
yeah.
do.
So
Character
they
ones.
did a Harry Potter range.
did, yeah.
They also did a collaboration with Vivienne Westwood. I've got some Vivienne Westwood Vans.
But again, those kind of, they make a lot of sense in terms of currency.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people today, I think that's quite a bold move.
Yeah, but then it potentially opens up that brand, that in this case
To a different audience.
designers,
Design education.
to a potentially younger audience. I think that's never a bad thing, is it?
No, not at all.
Who may have never heard of.
Exactly.
Eames
So
before.
they may
That's-
like the
that's
trainers,
the point. Yes.
and that's the interior
Ooh,
design
who's
of the
Eames?
future.
We're like a design podcast. Hi?
Who would know? Who would know?
Hi?
No.
Bringing design to people. I can't wait for you to get them because I quite like to see them in the flesh to make
Yeah.
my mind up, if I'm honest.
Yep.
But,
Watch this space.
Watch this space.
And they'll go with everything as well, won't they?
We shall. We'll put them on
And
Instagram.
my Reebok Classics are the most comfiest pair of trainers I've got.
They are classic.
I've still got a pair of Reebok Classics. They're years old. Years.
Okay.
Moving on.
Let's take it back then to. It's probably quite appropriate in terms of like talking about collaborations like that when you're talking about exhibition design because I think exhibition design has become one of the really most interesting areas of design at the minute. What does it mean to everybody? If I said exhibition design, what is it? What do you think the definition of it is?
Well, to me, I think there's a difference for people that understand exhibition design and understand how versatile it can be. I think it's more about the process of conveying a visual. It's almost like a visual storytelling. It can be sort of like an integrative, multidiscipline process where you're working with architecture, interior design, graphic design, experience, interaction. It's really multi-layered. That's what exhibition design is to me. But I can kind of see how it can be quite Interpreted in quite just a visual context where you're just displaying.
Yes, I think that's the key
Yeah.
key point, isn't it?
Whereas it's really not.
Yeah, if you look at like some of the traditional galleries, I think if you said exhibition to people, they would think paintings,
Yes.
gallery walls.
Yeah.
I like
Gallery walls.
I do like the way you've described it though. There is storytelling.
Narrative, isn't it? It's all building a narrative.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
What is it? What do you think it means, Amy?
I think similar to SJ really. I think it is. It's about that narrative. It's about exhibiting. I don't want to dumb it down too much, but I think we forget that that can be a whole range of different things. And I think researching this topic, I'm interested to know everyone's thoughts on what came first. What comes first, the art or the space? And is art
Content.
that is displayed in a space that wasn't initially designed for an exhibition, does that change the way you look at the art compared to a space that has been purpose built for exhibitions? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I do know what you mean. For me, it's about content first. So it is the art. It is the art. Now, I think that's, and that's the context for anything though as well. It's like the point of the exhibition.
Yeah, definitely.
What is it is being told?
I think if you're going to an art gallery or that particular context, you expect to see and you expect to put the art first. Whereas if you are going to a specific exhibition that's been designed by a specific designer, exhibition designer, or a lot of retail companies now that do a lot of installs, they will then design the space around the art that they're actually displaying. So it becomes an installation and they work on the concept alongside the art as opposed to enhance what they're showing.
Yeah. Do you think sometimes, and I've seen some examples actually online recently, where the exhibition space itself, the kind of design that's going into it, almost is detracting from what they're actually
Potentially.
trying to exhibit? And that's down a fine line, isn't it? I think maybe with so much kind of...
Because it's not just about a single display, the exhibition design. I think it needs to be immersive. So
It's the key word now, isn't it?
Yeah.
architecturally integrated environments. So what I'm trying to say here is architecture that's not permanent, that works with the existing building.
I was having a look and I find it really interesting that a lot of good exhibition designers, so I was having a look at certain studios and companies and things, they don't see themselves as exhibition designers.
No.
It's what they do,
Yes.
but they're a multimedia, multi-purpose
They
kind of
are.
studio where they're talking about lots of different things. You said immersive. It's innovative. There's kind of...
Yeah, because exhibition designers don't see themselves as exhibition designers. It's
That's
more
right.
under the umbrella of a design studio, because a lot of them do retail.
They do. It is a multifaceted kind of studio now because
Yeah.
they do so many different things because exhibitions have to do so many things.
Yeah.
Like not just tell a story, but the interactivity of it, the lighting of it. Some lighting designs for exhibitions are incredible. One of my favorite exhibition designs that I came across, and I genuinely didn't know of them until I kind of did a bit of research for this, is Lorem Ipsum.
Yeah.
And they are phenomenal. If you've never seen their work, it's definitely a company to go and have a look at because some of the stuff they do is mind-blowing. And you can understand why they're kind of one of the leaders in exhibition design and creating, as it says, immersive experiences. Is that a distraction though? I suppose, without answering my own question, I suppose it does depend on the context because if we think of curating something, that's very different, isn't it? And Amy, you probably got more experience than I have of that in terms of knowledge. But I see that as a very different thing to creating an exhibition space.
Yeah.
To curating something.
I agree with you, but I think you need to have a working knowledge of both
Yeah.
to be able to do either one successfully.
But again, it goes back to that. It's not just about display,
Yeah.
you know.
But
There's
is
so
it though?
many.
because there are certain works of art, would you want any kind of trappings or kind of...
No, but there's that in terms of display for curating, that is the purpose and that's the intent. Whereas sometimes I think, depending on what you're actually exhibiting, that's where it can be pushed that little bit further. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, it's about the experience that you're trying to create, and not you. Every experience is and should be different. You should be led by the art or the object.
Yes, which is a bit like the Monet paintings, where they build purposefully the space to house the paintings, which I've never seen actually in finance, but I quite like to at some point. What have you got, Amy? Because I know you've done quite a bit of...
I've got loads. I
Digging
could talk
around
for
on
hours again. It's like the art topic we did the other day. I think coming back to the idea of that immersive and kind of interactive experience, and one of your favourite questions: what will a museum look like in the future?
Yes. What will a museum look like in the future?
How can you? I mean, I don't know.
I watched a couple of TED Talks yesterday. The first one was by a woman called Sarah Kennedine, who is a professor of digital museology.
Wow.
I didn't know that was
Which
a
I didn't
thing.
know that was a thing.
No,
but
It is
I
now.
absolutely love it. And she was talking about the idea of creating almost living history.
Yeah.
And she's got this project where she's used scanning to scan these caves in China. I think it was China. That the public can't get into.
Yeah.
So she's recreated that in a public space.
Uh-huh.
But then on top of that, they've kind of superimposed moving elements and video, and then the paintings that were in the cave, they've restored those digitally. So you're getting the experience of
actually being in that.
being in there, but being in there centuries ago rather than if you went down there now.
Yeah.
And almost creating, it's that kind of AR.
I think it's a mix
Headset
there, isn't it? Yeah.
You're not actually in a space, but you're in a space.
Falsehood,
Yeah.
which is a truth.
Well, that's it. But that's I think why I struggle to get my head around it, because you're having this experience that could be quite visceral, but actually it's all technology, it's all fake, it's
like
they're
a mixed...
showing you but you're still experiencing it and getting something from it, more actually than you would do if you went down into the caves.
Yeah.
Because it's dangerous and it's dark and
I think
the paintings are all faded.
That is a specific example of it's progressive, isn't it? So just in her job title alone, technology has allowed for that particular type of design.
It's multi-layered.
Yeah.
It's huge amount. That fascinates me as to what a space actually means anymore. And as a designer, how do you actually design for that? Because the physical boundaries of four walls don't exist anymore.
No.
They do, obviously, because the context is still there. But actually, particularly something like exhibition design and certainly retail design as well, you're designing beyond that kind of four-wall element, aren't you?
Yeah, but I struggle with that loss of tactility.
Well, but that's the thing, is if you, like you said, if you were down
Not that you're allowed to touch paintings.
All
Well,
of them.
no.
That's
All
what
this,
it's
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're in the cave, though, there is still something very real about that. Even if you can't appreciate it in the same way, like you've just said,
Like
with
you
all the
can't touch
different
it.
things.
Yeah, but what about the smell? If you close your eyes and think about the smell of a cave,
Yeah.
you're not getting that from this. And I'm not in any way, I mean, she is obviously incredibly fantastic.
No, exactly, yeah.
But there are still certain elements that you're not getting from that digitalised
True.
version.
I think that will be something that will also work alongside.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will work alongside AR, VR, and because there are certain brands already that work with smell.
Yeah, well, another one of the TED Talks I listened to was Ellen Lipton.
Yeah.
And her TED Talk was called "Museums Should Activate Multiple Senses, Not Just the Eyeballs."
Yes.
Yeah.
And she talked about, she was a curator, and she said that how many times have you gone into a gallery and there's been a sign that says please do not touch?
Yes.
And she said, I use those, I put those up. I don't want you to touch the artwork, but why? Why shouldn't you be able to touch, hear, smell?
Yeah.
And lots of her work was around using sound and music within installations, but then how somebody who was hard of hearing or
Yes.
completely deaf would then experience that.
That's
And then
it,
the idea of vibrations, and this company in Israel had developed this kind of a little disc thing on a necklace that you could wear, and it transmitted a vibration that was representative of the music, and then you could physically feel that on your skin.
That's
So you could
fascinating.
still experience
Just in a slight.
That's
part
what
of
I
that
mean.
just in a completely different
point.
way.
Yeah. I think it's a combination, isn't it? And it's very progressive. It's innovative, and I think there are definitely AR specialists now.
But you talk about smell. The Jorvik Museum
It's been doing it for years.
has been doing it for
Yeah, yeah.
years.
Absolutely.
Airlines have been doing it for years.
Yeah, where you get that real scent of a time,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
you, more than anything.
Because they say that smell is it provokes the most memory.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
trigger.
very, very
Triggers.
evocative.
Like
Yeah.
music. Like you hear a piece of music, it takes you back to.
But I think smell is the strongest of the
Yeah.
senses.
I think I would agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think smell is probably the one next layer to come into some of these. But then, can you have too much?
I suppose again it depends on the
subjective, isn't it? I
but
think
it depends
again,
on
yeah.
what you're trying to create. If you are trying to evoke a feeling of being in
A cave.
a cave or with Vikings, then
Yeah.
maybe smell and sound and touch are important. But again, maybe not if they distract away from what you're trying to exhibit.
Here's a really. I found this yesterday, and this is by American artist Laura Owens, and it's so the works of art are Vincent van Gogh, so
Yeah.
very famous. Obviously, everybody knows what to expect. But the exhibition that's been done here that she has been involved with is she's wallpapered the walls, but not like in a conventional sense from being.
She hasn't wallpapered the
or
furniture, has
something.
she?
She has not, and if she had, maybe more success. But she's examining again, which is what's really interesting about this. And again, we'll put pictures of this up. You can see the fact that she's thought about the artwork still, but the colours and the patterns and everything she's used
Yeah.
have been explored in a contemporary relationship to the artist's original work. And I was looking at it and I thought it's quite interesting because it's her own artwork as well that the wallpaper is essentially.
Ah,
And
okay.
it's really interesting seeing them in a context when you look at like some of the images. How different they
gosh.
look if that was just in say the Met or the National Gallery in Britain, where it's just
Yeah.
the painting. It makes you challenge how you look at it. I mean, Amy's pulling a face.
I don't.
Do you think it's distracting, or? But then people would argue it's actually more. It draws you in more. I don't know.
What do you like?
Hold
about
it
it?
again.
I've got a mixed.
I think maybe in this respect I'm just a bit of a traditionalist, and I
Yeah.
just
But this is what I mean about what the expectations are for seeing certain
For
types
example,
of
if you were a Van Gogh fan and you'd paid good money to go and see that artwork, would you be disappointed?
but that
I can imagine using that technique on the lead up to creating an experience and immersing yourself within the patterns. And the lead up to, I've seen that done quite a lot, where you'd go into an exhibition space and there would be kind of an entranceway.
Yeah.
And they would do something within that entranceway that kind of gets you into that mindset.
A bit of a warm up.
But then when you get into a bit of exactly like that, she
warm-up.
stretches. She stretches before you get in.
yeah.
And then you get into the space.
Yeah.
But I just think that distracts away from the images themselves. I think I'm a big fan of a bit of white space around a key image.
But then some people might feel intimidated by that. That kind of, I don't want to say elitist, but that conventional approach.
Yeah, and I get that. And I think it's
And maybe this kind of thing
really important to get people into galleries,
brings
regardless
that,
of...
makes them feel that they can approach
Yes.
Van Gogh's work easier because it looks like it's hung on
And
their
it's
mother's
not just-
wallpaper. Which it kind of does, one of them.
It's
It
not
really
just this
kinda-
small piece of artwork that we're paying shrine to.
Yeah, because there is that kind of evangelical thing, isn't there?
Yeah,
of
there is.
certain artworks
Yeah.
where, and people I love going to see it, but are quite intimidated by it. Does that maybe make it more accessible? to
I can
people?
see where you're coming from. I still don't like it.
No, and I think that's what I mean. I looked at it and it really challenged me and my
Yeah,
perception
it
as
does.
like
It does.
how I understand the artist and how I understand the relationship because obviously she's an artist in herself. So it's technically a double exhibition, isn't it? Because it's the relationship.
Yeah, because she's promoting herself as well, isn't she? At the end of the
and
day,
then-
I think that's interesting though when artists curate their own shows.
Yeah.
I think because the way that the idea of reception theory and how we look at a piece and how we receive that piece, how it's exhibited will have an impact on how we see it, as well as everything else, like our other kind of preconceived ideas. So if an artist is, and not in this sense because she's showing someone else's work, but if an artist is curating their own work, their narrative is going to be different to
Widely.
if they handed that over to somebody else and asked them to curate.
Widely different, isn't
And
it?
that completely changes the way that you see and receive that piece of work.
But that's because the artist wants you to see their work, rather than maybe who's creating it has a different narrative for what maybe they want people to see.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I mean,
I think as an artist, you've probably got very definite ideas about what your art, what your work represents.
Yeah.
And I want everyone to see it in this way, but I don't think that's what art is. I think art is about handing over your body and soul and somebody being able to
take that.
and get their own thoughts and feelings and opinions from it. I think the elitist part of art and exhibitions comes from being told what you should be thinking about a particular piece.
that just shows though the difference between what exhibition design is, though, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
that's going back to
exactly.
what we've already said. Because I would still say that's again more curated than it is exhibition. Because I'm thinking of somewhere like the Science Museum
Yeah.
in London. That's an exhibition space of engagement, of immersive content, of education, which is completely different to talking about something like art.
Yeah.
But yet they're still seen as two halves of the
Yeah.
same thing, aren't they, to some degree? Because exhibition is exhibition. But actually it's not anymore, is it?
I had a look at some of the most influential exhibitions over the years that impacted me as a designer. And the first one for me was the Alexandra McQueen Savage Beauty exhibition at the V&A, which was just the installation and the sort of the avant-garde. It was almost like performance art, and it was quite autobiographical. But I think the way that was done was just spot on. But in contrast to that, when you look at the Body Worlds exhibition by, is it Gunter von?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know exactly.
Hagen?
Yeah.
Plasticizing people.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right, plasticization.
Yeah.
Which meant that he had the ability to show the body in so many different amazing detail and form. But that was viewed by over 37 million people.
Yeah.
So when you think about the power that had across the world,
It's such a striking exhibition.
and it's an influence. I think those two for me, regardless of what they were exhibiting, were key influences in that particular sector.
Yeah.
That kind of set paramount to how exhibition design can be. And they're displaying completely different things. They're exhibiting completely different things.
That's one of my big regrets, never getting to see the Alexandra McQueen exhibition at the V&A. It was on my radar for a long time, but everybody I've ever spoken to who saw it said how good that was. And very representative of the designer, which again is interesting because, again, if you take the analogy going back to art and how an artist might see themselves, I would say there, it's not quite art, although it is in some sense of the word, fashion. It definitely portrays the actual designer in the exhibition, that sense of drama and atmosphere and everything else that goes with it. I love the bonnet. I would have one of his pieces, I'm just saying.
Well,
Anyone
when
would
you
like
look
to
at
donate
pictures
one
of it,
to
you
me?
could see you being one of the mannequins.
If I have to give my body to art or science, then plasticize me all you like. To be honest. I think one of the unbelievable pieces of that exhibition though was, I think he did a horse.
Yeah.
As part
Oh,
of
here
it.
we go again. Horse's legs.
And how-
I think you'd stay away from that.
But again, to see such
Yes.
a large animal done like that.
Yeah.
Because we've all seen skeletons and things.
Yeah,
and
but
that
so
sense of
then-
scale. But to see...
Yeah.
But again, that is going back to that sort of immersive technology and how technology innovation allows you to do that, because the plasticization allowed you to be able to see the human form in such detail, which I think is what fascinated people.
Yeah.
You know.
Here's a thought. Sticking with that exhibition, because it works quite well in terms of what I'm about to say. If you were designing that exhibition now, you would use augmented reality with that, wouldn't you? So
Or 3D printing.
Or 3D printing.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about the fact that if I had an augmented reality app and I've got a half-naked woman there whose bits I can see inside and everything else.
Right, where's this going?
I
It's
don't
just
know.
really weird, isn't it?
I'm a bit-
I mean,
Might just swivel round in a chair.
It's all right, my chair already does that for me. Goodbye.
you would actually use the app to see how the body works. You would bring it to life.
Oh,
would
okay.
show-
So are you talking about the body moving?
The actual... Go on, Amy. She has a hand.
has a
up.
hand.
No,
up.
I have a thing to say,
Okay.
which is useful. The Millennium Dome
Yes.
and the body bit in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
And how? But at the time,
Yes.
how bloody brilliant the
Well, yeah.
Millennium Dome was
Yeah,
when
it
it
was. We
opened, and
got-
all
yeah.
those different exhibition
Yeah, the four
spaces.
different
Yeah,
zones.
I actually went to the Tutankhamun there.
Did you?
Yeah.
How was he? Dry.
He was he was a bit quiet, to be honest.
Wow.
Not feeling himself.
Missing
that
his mummy.
day. But I think it became a bit of a.
Stop it. Sorry.
I think the Millennium Dome became a bit of a joke because of how
It
much
did.
it cost.
It
And
did,
then
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
closed.
yeah.
And it's now
Yeah.
two, and
it became
hasn't got a bit of
political,
a roof.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rather than for what
Which
the
is a
content
shame. Which is a
was.
shame.
The space itself and what they did,
It
and
was
the
quite
interaction and the educational side of it. It was fantastic. I remember having an amazing time.
I did. I had an amazing
I
time.
think I went
with
twice.
King Tut.
Who wouldn't? And his
But it
pharaohs.
was brilliant.
It is. I remember because I was at university at that time, and I remember again it being a really important topic
Yeah.
that we were all talking about because it was pushing the boundaries
yeah.
of design, and certainly exhibition design and how we kind of approached it. Certainly from our course. But I like the idea. That's what I'm saying. I'm going back to the whole kind of augmented reality where you build additional layers in. 'Cause I've seen a lot of exhibitions doing that now where because it's not just immersive, it makes you engage with the content in a way that you wouldn't have done 10 years
Yes.
ago. You'd have just stood, wouldn't you, still? You might have pressed a few buttons
Yeah.
or opened a few flaps or whatever, but you would have ultimately stood there. Whereas now you engage in it in a completely different way.
Yeah. Do you think that where the sort of general public are being set up for AR and VR?
I don't like it. I
the
just
au-
don't like it.
Well, when you think about
Robots again, and I just don't like it. What's the difference between AR and VR?
you know the filters that we use on Snapchat?
Yeah.
That is pretty much
I mean, I
augmented
don't, 'cause I
reality.
don't use Snapchat.
No,
I
but
assume
no.
they're the same on Instagram. Yeah.
But you know how you see like these videos that people post and they've got filters on them and they've got like a face like a dog when it changes your face
So
and it moves.
I saw one the other day of it looked like a spider was running all over
Yes,
her face. That's AR,
That's
right?
AR.
Okay, so what's VR then?
VR is filmed in a 360 view, so it's putting you in the offering like
So
the
that's
whole perspective.
when you play in a video game, for example, and you've got your headset on.
Yeah, it's like
Partly.
super swanky headsets.
Yeah.
super swanky headsets.
It's more immersive in the sense that it takes you into something.
Yeah.
A whole
Don't
space.
like it.
But augmented reality adds layers to your actual reality,
Yeah.
which I think I like more than I like virtual reality because I
Yeah.
think virtual reality still has some
It's got a long
stages
way to go, I think.
to be fully immersed in it.
Yeah.
Whereas augmented reality, you literally like I just said, you can pull it out of your pocket and
Yeah, I mean, some of the filters that you see are just absolutely ridiculous.
So when I went to Legoland and you scanned the
This is
thing,
the
and
Yes.
then the lion came to life
Yeah,
and
when
started
pop-
roaring at us
Yes.
through my phone,
That's
that's,
what I mean.
AR.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that a
Yes.
lot.
yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I
Okay.
mean about if you went back to the Bodyworks exhibition,
Yeah.
you would bring all
course
that
you would.
kind of to life now and see, like I say, the
Yeah.
body working and interact with it, and also then engage within that. So if you tap something, you would get like more information on it and how the layers keep on evolving. So when you think of that from a designer's point of view, how hard that is now to design for a space that actually isn't just a physical space anymore.
But what we're saying then is that the space isn't as important.
Well, this was one of your arguments, though, wasn't it? In terms of
The four walls.
the shell.
Yeah, what does it mean?
What does that mean
anymore?
for a shell?
Because technically technically right now, we could open up an app and we could all scan the same code and we could see a Van Gogh exhibition in augmented reality.
Yeah.
Because as you move the app around, the images would appear on the walls.
Yeah, well,
And that is a very accessible way to access art.
oh, definitely. During lockdown, I remember playing with
do you
the
remember how many-
Google Art,
Yes.
Google Places, is it?
Yeah, because you could put yourself in the some of the libraries that you would never visit in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but you
like-
could also put works of art on your wall. Like you could choose
and
like,
see what it looks.
Yeah.
the Mona Lisa, and
If
you
I was
could have a
gonna
look
pinch it.
to see what it looked like above your dining table.
Well, a lot of retailers are doing that now, aren't they?
Yes, IKEA are doing it.
You open up your phone, your camera, and you can put that sofa in your room. And you can
Dulux
see what it
have
looks
one,
like.
don't they, for colour?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all AR.
But and that's what I think is really exciting, because how do you design a space that doesn't exist?
Oh,
And that's what I'm fascinated by
I
this.
know.
The existential side of design now, because
Yes.
like we know you can educate people to design a space. It's a physical space, the things you need to consider. But actually, in 10 years' time, the industry is going to be so much more advanced than that. Don't get me wrong, there'll always be a place for
Of course
physical
there will.
space, because a restaurant at the end of the day is still a restaurant. But even they have Instagrammable walls now, don't they?
Yeah.
Where you film yourself against. And probably there's
Yeah.
an element of augmented reality within that as well now, I think, as it evolves. But it's the space that doesn't exist that you're still designing for, because you have to think about how innovative it is, how immersive it is, how it comes to life, or what's hidden within it. Because it's engagement, isn't it? I think people want more, they expect more from whatever the design is. They
Yes.
just want more from it. And I think that's incredibly hard. I don't know how you teach that in some ways, or how you, as a designer, I mean, I look like, again, I say this company that I mentioned earlier, Lorem Ipsum,
Yeah.
are very good at understanding that. But even then, every project's a new project, isn't it? Where you're learning on it, because you're pushing the boundaries of technology along with the physical reality of actually how you design something. It's quite scary.
It is.
And it blows my mind. And I think it's a very exciting time, though, to be a designer. If you're going to be out there in industry. And
when you think about how many different specialisms that opens us up to in terms of working with contractors in the future,
yeah.
you
Not
know,
just
you
the
will
chippy.
have not just the good old electrician, Sparky. You're going to be working with AR specialists in the future.
There are so many.
It's mad.
It is mad.
It's robots.
It is robots. But going back to like curation, do you think there's something to be said for someone, let's say someone as formal like the National Gallery, developing, even if they're going to keep the exhibition space, your classic kind of
Yes.
as it is, they still need to build a layer into that.
Yeah, and I think they probably are. I think they
for
are
education,
thinking about
yeah.
it, you know, how they push forward, because otherwise you will get left behind.
Of course you will. Yeah.
It's educating people, isn't it? I think it's like if you've got a painting and you can bring that to life.
Yeah.
And then pull that information out if you really love that.
Yeah.
And you go on.
But here's a fact.
Okay.
So the British Museum only displays 0.004% of what it owns.
Wow.
And that's mental,
Yes, it
isn't it?
does.
Yeah.
But surely then there is a place for the technology that would allow them to exhibit
A wider array of content.
their
Yeah.
requisitions
How would you do
than they
that?
physically can in a space.
Go on. We're all designers. How would you
3D
do
printing.
No, but I just think, again, this is the AR, VR robots.
Yeah.
that? Robots.
Robots is just my term for anything I don't understand.
Exterminate.
Robots. You do it through robots, Stephen.
The Terminator.
I'll
Don't
be
think he's
back.
going to be very
No, but
useful.
it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, you wouldn't necessarily have to, I mean, obviously they've
Are you
got...
talking about recreating some of their work that they've already got?
Yes, yeah, that they physically haven't got the
Got-
space to show.
Yeah.
How about they build a room? Let's say a big white box.
Yeah.
And they start hanging it in this space. And again, you can curate it as if you were going to put it together.
Yeah.
But you digitize it
Yeah.
so that then people can access that particular collection or
Yeah, it's kind of like an extension of the audio files that you get alongside listening.
Yes,
You know, when you
yeah,
listen
yeah.
to
yeah.
certain aspects of, you know, when you do a tour and whatever, it's an extension of that, isn't it?
It absolutely is, because I had an idea for that, and I told you about it, didn't I? About my historic England National Trust,
Yes.
kind of using augmented reality to
Yeah.
bring interiors back
Yeah.
from a particular period.
It really it just makes sense.
Because it adds, I think, depth to the exhibition when you're designing it, because it makes it real, it makes it tangible, and I don't know, for some people probably more understandable that they can access that rather than again that stuffy kind of
I think it's about
roped off.
accessibility. The curator Hans Ulrich Obrist,
Yes.
who is the creative director at the Serpentine Gallery.
Oh, yes.
He, before we got into curating, he used to collect postcards everywhere he went. And he would then go home into his bedroom and he would curate his own little
Postcards.
shows. And he reckons that he's got about 1,000 of these postcards from this period of his life, where he would just buy them and then he would create his own little exhibitions in his bedroom at home. And that was almost like his springboard. But I like the idea that although all that imagery, art, object, whatever it is accessible, and that you can curate your own. And I think maybe that's potentially a way of which you can make more of a collection available to everybody. And that idea that you can start pulling things together and creating your own and exploring with it. And again, it's like the next generation of curators, isn't it? And I think it's a really cute story. And
That is it is cute, actually.
And it makes me sad.
Yeah.
But also,
why does it make you sad?
Because I don't know. There's something very meaningful about it. Though.
Yeah.
But sad way in a nice way. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been there.
I know what you mean. It's like, oh.
I think so. We have Generation Alpha coming, right? Who are digital natives.
So we are millennials.
Yes.
I'm Generation X.
Generation X. Hello.
Need the X Factor music. Carry. Generation Alpha are complete, and there's beta coming behind them as well.
So what are they? What's beta?
Just they're not been born yet, but they're coming.
Okay. Oh
Like the
Christ.
children of the
It's like
damned.
an invasion.
Oh, it's like robots all over
There you
again.
go.
I'm not happy.
They are going to have different.
Exterminate.
Exactly what it is.
They probably are going to try and exterminate it.
They're going to have completely different expectations than we would
Yeah.
of the physical world.
But that's always the case, though, isn't it? That the older generations are making those decisions for the younger generations.
In
But
some
actually, they're probably ahead of us in terms of
They're
technology.
dragging us along.
But then equally, we've just commented how the National Gallery has been the National Gallery for,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years?
with all the technology we've had over the last sort of 20, 30, 40 years,
Yeah.
it's still actually as it
It
is.
is as it is.
I like the idea of them having art on demand or exhibition on demand, where again it's into this virtual gamers, isn't it? It goes back to
Yeah.
I'm not a gamer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold my hand up here, but it's that mindset of being in a virtual world
Yeah.
and experiencing it through a virtual sense. That's the British Museum's opportunity to reach out,
Yeah.
because you can see a space being designed and developed.
True, but then how far does that go? Because if you are just if the building is just being used as a shell, think about how many multiple exhibitions you could have in and on at one time.
Or even curate your own.
And I like that. I
Yeah.
like that idea. I do
Yeah.
like that
It's
idea.
that idea of gaming, doesn't it?
I do. I
It's like
struggle though.
Minecraft or
It is, exactly.
The
Sims.
Sims are never forget. I do struggle though with the idea of the digital versus real,
yeah.
because
'Cause you
and
can't
again
lick it.
during
Because you can't.
he's only referring to the fact that I was nearly thrown out of the MoMA for trying to lick a Dali, which I didn't do. I was just getting very, very close to it because I wanted to see the detail, and the man told me off. But and again, this is quite a personal story, and if you got some oohs and ahs ready,
I mean,
for,
I can try.
there is a painting in the National Gallery, a Titian, and it's the most beautiful painting. It's one of my ultimate favourite paintings. During lockdown, I got quite emotional at the idea that, because I thought during lockdown that we were never going to be allowed out of our house ever again, and obviously everything had closed. Everything had closed, and I was genuinely really upset that I thought I was never going to see this painting. Come on, I'm using this as my therapy session and you're just laughing at me.
Let it all out.
yeah,
Let it
And
all
I,
out.
and I, looking at pictures was just not the same.
No,
it's not.
no.
And it wasn't until I was able to go back to the National Gallery for the first time after lockdown and stand in front of that painting that I really got the experience from that painting that I needed and wanted.
Yeah.
And I just think that we can't replace everything.
No, and I don't think that's
AR, VR.
I don't think that should be that, and I don't think it will ever be the intention.
Robots.
No,
well, I
don't.
hope it would never
No, I
be
don't.
ever be
I
the
don't.
intention to completely replace everything, because I just think there is a place for everything for certain people.
It will be interesting to see what a future generation thinks of that, though, because there's generations already now, isn't there, that sit in a room.
Yeah, never
and
go anywhere and do
experience it.
anything. Yeah.
So will they even want to have that experience that you've just said? And that's the point, isn't it?
That's really sad.
It is.
It is
sad.
sad. It's
really
a bit
sad.
heart wrenching, isn't it?
But then maybe that's where, like, as interior designers, as exhibition designers,
You've got to
you
persuade people
create
to
a
leave their
space-
house
yes,
to go and have an experience.
You do. Get,
Oh, that sounds awful.
get out of your room. I think that is our responsibility then, no? As designers, to actually create those kinds of spaces that actually people want to talk about, want to visit, want to
Yeah.
experience it, and actually don't realise what it is they're experiencing until they're actually
There.
in
I
front
think
of
maybe
it.
you're right. It's the balance between the two: the
Yes.
space, the shell, and the AR
Lure
and the
them.
experience. Yeah,
Lure them with the filters.
them in.
Something for everyone.
Yeah,
I think so.
give them a good Snapchat filter, and that'll get them through the door.
That's what. Are you listening, Facebook? That's
Mark
what they do.
Zuckerberg's out there with his notebook.
Writing it down. Writing it
These
down.
three losers
Hang on.
in Nottingham have got some advice for me.
Just play that back again.
But you know what? This is completely off topic though. But this is how things have changed, and I do think that lockdown and COVID has driven this in terms of contact that you have with people. Because when I recently went to Centre Parks, everywhere you go in there now, if you sit down at a cafe or one of the restaurants in there, you have to order everything by the code.
Yeah.
You can't just go up to the bar and buy a drink.
Don't speak to people.
No,
Oh,
I mean,
but I
I
love
tried, and I basically got shut down.
Sit down,
Yes. It's
I
like,
love that though. I love
this
not
is
having to
recently.
speak to anyone in a restaurant. If I can order on my phone,
But then-
have it brought to me and not have to say hello to anyone, I'm happy.
Ignore people.
But then
look at paintings.
sometimes though, like places like that are in the middle of nowhere. Your phone signal isn't very good.
Yeah.
You're trying to order what you want. I mean, all I want is a lemonade, and it takes me about 10
The
minutes
app's
to get
got
the.
to be good.
I mean,
yeah.
come on.
It's difficult. It's all right,
then-
love. I'll pull my own.
But then some people, what I mean by this is that as soon as someone sees a QR code, people are like, "Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Oh, let's scan it. So let's see what it is."
But
It's a voucher code.
my small person is 5 and he knows what a QR code is and
Of
does,
course,
and that's mental to me.
YouTuber.
He also has told me the other day that he wants to be a YouTuber, so
See, there you go. YouTuber.
robots.
But look at all the podcast experience you'll bring to him.
Maybe you should just take him to lots of art galleries.
I do anyway, but he still prefers YouTube.
I like to watch it through a screen.
Well, I don't need to go anywhere. I
Yes,
can
but
just
he
watch
does
it here.
like to build Lego.
Does.
You've got hope.
It's true. It's true.
Does. And you went to one great exhibition place for Lego, which was Legoland.
Yes. Yeah. And that was amazing. I don't know who had more fun, to be fair.
No.
Exactly.
From your pictures, I'd quite like to go, but that's another,
And you can probably lick the exhibit site.
No, I don't think you can.
Okay. Just good. It's always good to let the people
I
know.
actually think that licking most things in public is not acceptable unless it's an ice cream.
Do you think that's post or pre-COVID?
I think it's always been the case. I think it's always been the
But
case.
it's good for clarity. I think we've covered it.
On that note,
Yeah.
I think it's been a good one.
It's been interesting, and I think it will continue to evolve. I think that's the key
Yeah,
thing, isn't it?
definitely.
And that's why if you're going to design for spaces like that, it's going to be an exciting time.
But then when you think about it, when you think about some of the previous content that we've covered, it then comes back to being open-minded as a designer and also the layering.
And intent.
Yes.
Yes, context.
Open-minded, layering, intent.
That's it.
There
That's
you
our
go.
mantra.
Yeah.
Write that down, someone. 'Cause I'll forget.
Say in the mirror every morning.
On that note, thank you for listening to us. We hope you've really enjoyed this episode. It's been somewhat different, but I think still an important area of design to kind of cover, really, because there are things that lots of designers need to consider going forward. Remember to check us out on social media. So we're at the National Design Academy on Instagram and on Facebook. And remember, any comments, anything you'd like to see, even if it's just a boost you want to give Amy, then email us at awkward@nda.ac.uk.
I'd actually stopped listening then, so well done for getting my attention back.
Zoned out.
She loves it, really. On that note, thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
TTFN.
Bye.
Bye.